Welcome to the Road to Innovation, powered by the Kleinert Foundation. On each episode, we delve into innovative solutions to society's most pressing issues like sex trafficking, homelessness, and poverty. We hope that with each conversation, you'll be inspired to take actionable steps towards social change. Here's your host, Hannah Rabelais from the Kleinert Foundation.
Welcome to another episode of the Road to Innovation podcast powered by the Kleinert Foundation, and I'm your host, Hannah Rabelais. January is known as National Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and I'm so excited to have these two lovely ladies all the way here from Fort Worth, traveled in the rain to be on our guest today, on our show today. So I have Melissa Ice, who is the founder and executive director at the Net, and also co-founder of the Worthy Co., which is a social enterprise under the Net. And then I have Sarah, who is the director of operations at the Net and also is a co-founder at the Worthy Co. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thanks for having
Thank you so
us.
So let's kick off. For those in our audience who are listening who do not know about the Net or the Worthy Co., can you just give like a brief kind of summary of what y'all are doing?
Yeah, so the Net is a nonprofit in Fort Worth, and one of the things that we do is we serve survivors of trafficking, which we've been doing since 2012. And since then, we've had the opportunity to serve over 800 women in Fort Worth.
Wow.
And really what we're trying to do is provide them with resources and recovery. And we have several different programs where we provide advocacy for them, as well as mentorship and social engagement to help them fully find healing and freedom from the life of exploitation that they experienced.
Wow. And so what led y'all to start the Worthy Co.? So can you kind of talk about like that dynamic with having it housed under an actual nonprofit, and what does it mean to be a social enterprise with y'all's model?
Yeah, so we started the Worthy Co. within our nonprofit a couple of years ago, and we really just kept seeing this problem come across with the women that we were serving, that they were checking all the right boxes and really succeeding in their recovery. You know, they're being reunited with their family and getting restitution with the courts and getting, educated and things like that, but they still had such a hard time finding employment. And the employment that they were finding was not necessarily gainful employment. It was just a low-wage hourly job in a lot of cases. And so we just kept seeing this problem, and we just wanted to do something about it. Of course, we looked around, we thought, who can we partner with, who can help us in this, and just felt like this is something that that we can do and that we want to provide for women. So we created the Worthy Co., and it's within our nonprofit, and we employ women that are the survivors that are in our program. We employ them within the social enterprise, and they hand make candles and jewelry, and
Which we are all of us are wearing some Worthy Co. stuff.
Worthy Co. earrings. Yeah.
We have a lovely candle on our table and
Yes.
some behind us. So, and they smell incredible. I think my favorite is the fig and olive leaf, which we have back here. It is so clean. I love it. I think I gave like 10 of them out to my friends for Christmas. So they're awesome. So if you want to go buy one, they are so worth it. But I want to go back to, why is it so hard to find employment for women who have been trafficked? Can you just touch on a little bit, like what are the barriers to employment for those women?
Yeah, I think that, there's a ton of barriers for them, and one of which is just a lot of the women that we work with, their abuse began in early childhood, which just means that they started out with experiencing trauma from a very early age. One of our employees, sadly, as young as the age of 3 years old. And so just imagine at that point, the trajectory for your life is seemingly set in stone, and the kind of opportunities that someone like myself or someone else who hasn't experienced that are just going to start looking a lot differently. And so we found for our women that they are overcoming really a lifetime of trauma. And so what was done to them over a lifetime, now they're at this place in their lives where they're ready to start undoing some of that. And at the same time, they have to provide for themselves and for their children. And so it's a weird kind of transition phase for them to be ready and willing to do the hard work of recovery, and then at the same time needing sort of instantaneously, as we all do, when you graduate college, or it's like, okay, it's time to start paying bills and it's time to provide. And for them, not having the skill sets necessarily to do that, because while I was learning some of those by working at the mall and working at restaurants as a hostess, they were unfortunately being exploited, and they were on the streets. And so that's one of the challenges that they face.
Yeah, I would say another really big challenge is just the way that our society and culture views them. So, all of the women that work for the Worthy Co. were entered into the sex industry as minors, as children, and we know now that that makes them considered to be sex trafficking victims, but all of them turned that magic age of 18, and all of a sudden, the things that were victimizing them are now things that make them seem as criminals, and that our society looks at as criminals. And so, they might have a background that an employer would look at and really not be excited about, and would make them choose the next candidate. So that's a really big barrier for them too, is just the criminal background that a lot of them have.
Because a lot of the women have felonies, correct? And so just like that barrier of trying to educate employers, it's like, no, they were not criminals, they were victims of this crime. And so again, it's just like, it's so sad that we have to do so much work to even still kind of shift the perspective in our culture and society to look at these women in a different way, in a more dignified way. So let's talk about y'all's business model. So I want to just kind of dive into the journey y'all took, going to visit Thistle Farms, which is a social enterprise in Nashville. Can you talk about how y'all landed on a 501c social enterprise? Because we've had on the show past for-profits, kind of a different mixture, but why did y'all choose to go down this route? And what are some challenges that y'all have encountered with this?
So many things.
Well,
I can start with just the Thistle Farms aspect of it, because I feel like in a lot of ways that gave us sort of the gumption to really jump in with both feet. I think prior to that, we would say that we dabbled in employing women. We had sort of program type opportunities. Classes, yes, thank you. Yeah, classes where people were making bath products and things like that. And it was going to Thistle Farms that really ignited the spark in our team, because what was so encouraging to me is that we saw a group of women who are being employed and who were not only surviving but thriving. And it's the exact same group of women that we had been working with in Fort Worth. And so it felt like there was a little bit of a kindred spirit there, because we realized, okay, this is possible. I think that a lot of times we shouldn't look around, but if you look around, we work with adult women. And so sometimes we see either resources or funding going to programs that are related to domestic minor sex trafficking, which is amazing, because they need so much. It's actually still lacking, even though there is a little bit of a spotlight on that particular group. But I think that, like Sarah said, once they sort of pass a certain threshold, those opportunities start to become increasingly limited. And so going to Thistle Farms and seeing them have the programmatic piece, which we also do as well, but then also the social enterprise and employment piece. And, for those that don't know, it's the nation's largest social enterprise that employs survivors of trafficking. And so just seeing somebody several steps ahead of us, by several steps, I mean 20 years, so 2 decades ahead of us. I'm like, oh, thank goodness, you figured out all the kinks. And just the fact that they're so generous with their model.
Yes.
And we've had many opportunities to go to Nashville and sit down with Hal, their CEO, Jim, their head of manufacturing, and we've sat under Becca's teaching and sat down with some of the survivors that they've employed and have gotten to learn so much from them, and that sort of gave us the courage to take the first step.
Yeah, something that Becca said when we were there is that justice is not a competitive sport, and that really inspired us. And like Melissa said, they're so generous with their model, and really their end goal is that more and more women are empowered and get dignified employment and are able to change their lives. And so seeing that play out and seeing their generosity, and that really inspired us to come back and offer that same thing for their women. And I think also seeing, just from a nonprofit standpoint, the sustainability that it offers for their nonprofit.
Yes.
It's a significant revenue stream for them, and the fundraising thing is sometimes
the fundraising hamster wheel that you get on every year.
It is, and it's it was exciting and encouraging to see a new way, well, not a brand new way, but an innovative way to create a funding stream for your nonprofit. And so that was exciting to us as well, in addition to the program side.
Yes.
And on the business model side, too, I would say something that differentiates us and maybe Thistle Farms, where we're sort of in the same camp, is you mentioned being a 501c3. So we are a nonprofit, which means 100% of our profit goes back into our programming. And so that's just another interesting aspect to it, because simultaneously, we are creating a product, we are a business, and sometimes our product is competing with other products, maybe who have less challenges in regards to their employer, or people who they're employing maybe are higher skilled. And we're dealing with sort of the programmatic piece of like, we have intentionally taken on women who are lacking those skills so that we can provide them with a safe opportunity to learn those skills in a really gracious environment, so that it's not cutthroat, or for a lot of them, they go straight from out of incarceration into a job where, you know, the employer isn't, if they do something wrong, if there's a misstep, if a crisis comes up, if their trauma is triggered, they lose their employment. And so we want to be that, but at the same time, we're also trying to have a successful business that is profitable and a product that people love. And so our business model is tricky, but we're committed. We're going to do it.
That's what counts.
Other people have done it, so we know it's possible.
Can you talk about the price point in products and like how is it's so hard to break into the market, especially when you're kind of paying a little bit more for labor, you want to pay a dignified wage, and you're competing against like Bath and Body Works where their candles are still $20, but you know, there's just so many, I feel like, especially for social enterprises and especially for the customer to understand, like, why are they paying just a tad little bit more for your product? Can you talk about maybe how do you educate your customers? How do you talk about it to kind of just for the customer to understand, like, why the price point is that high sometimes?
I think we one of the main ways that we help people understand is just saying each product is handmade. And I think that connects the idea that it's a real person behind each and every product that, you know, comes to work and sits down at the work table and hand makes them. And I think that connects for a lot of people. A lot of our customers just really get that and really want that direct impact on a real person. You know, there's a lot of things that you can buy at Target or Walmart, you know, that are made in factories and by someone that's a world away. But when you connect the story of this is a real person that lives in Fort Worth, Texas, and has kids and has this story, and so I think telling stories and humanizing each product is really has been the way that we kind of explain our price point. But what we found is people really get it, and they want to have that impact, and they want to spend their dollars on something that changes someone's life.
So you really think the story is really what sells customers, or a little bit of both? Because your jewelry is cute, your candles do smell amazing, but you kind of lure them in a little bit more to kind of like complete that purchase with like, hey, you're actually making an impact in women's lives. And that's kind of like the cherry on top of like, oh yes, 100%, I bought 15 myself. So
yeah. Well, we're very passionate about our product being, you know, standing alone on its own without the story behind it. So we really want to create cute, trendy, fashionable things that we would wear ourselves, which we do every day, pretty much. Or candles that we burn in our own home, which I do every day. But so we want our products to stand alone. But like you said, it really is kind of when you share the story behind it, it really encourages people to join in that story and be a part of it.
What is like one thing you wish you had known before you started this venture? We'll be here all day. It's probably just not just one thing, but
one.
Yes.
There's so many. I mean, I think we talked a little bit about the program versus the business side. Sarah always talks about her business school of hard knocks via like YouTube tutorials and webinars and podcasts and audiobooks. I think something, it's not necessarily that I wish I would have known, but that is being reiterated for sure, is just having a really healthy relationship with failure. Because I think that essentially as a social entrepreneur, something that we're doing on a daily basis is sort of waking up, looking over yesterday's failures, what went wrong, and learning from those mistakes, pivoting, and sort of picking back up and keep going. And I think that if both Sarah and I didn't have a healthy relationship with failure, that would have taken us out a long time ago. And so I think I would want other social entrepreneurs to know, and for us all to be like, it's a safe place. We can say it out loud that you literally just fail every day. But it's trial and error, and you're learning from those mistakes. And every mistake you make or every complaint you get about something or something that you did wrong is an opportunity to grow and improve. And so I think that is something that's really important that we're learning as we go, and then anytime you expand into anything, you're like, and it's a whole new area of unknown and potential failures like waiting to happen. But if I saw it that way, then we wouldn't maybe ever take the next step. But instead, we kind of put our nose to the ground, we figure it out, we do some things wrong, and it's almost like perfect. Okay, we did these things wrong, now we know what not to do next time. And yeah, that's just something that is super important throughout this process.
What about for you, Sarah?
Well, I'll be honest, I completely underestimated the retail world. And we always say that we didn't start a jewelry and a candle company because we were passionate about jewelries and candles. We're passionate about providing jobs for women, empowering women, and changing their lives. And so in my naivete, I was thinking, oh, candles, we decided we would make candles because I was making them in my kitchen for gifts. And I was like, this is easy. I can teach people how to do this. Anyway, so, it's one thing to make a product and it's another to sell it to people and to be, to market it, and e-commerce and shipping and fulfillment. It's just has been a much bigger learning curve than I expected. I think I was a little overconfident going into it. And I'm like, I've worked at Anthropologie. Like, I've got this.
You do, and y'all are doing such an incredible job. No, you got,
you.
yes. No,
yeah, that's something that I think I would have maybe weighed that a little more when starting out, just realizing that that's going to be a huge learning curve. And, figuring out product development and design from supply chain to marketing it and selling it and getting it in someone's hands, it's a big endeavor and has an endeavor that has nothing to do with empowering women, and nothing to do with like the program side, and so that's something that I wish I would have taken a little more consideration in.
I know, we say all the time, sometimes when we're doing things that are just business product related, we're like, oh my gosh, some people, this is their like full-time job, is they just do this one part. Mm-hmm. And we also are still running an entire nonprofit with other programs and fundraising and development and
working with other populations, in addition to yes.
Yes.
Fundraising,
all those things too. So, but
and also picking out designs for our cute new sweatshirts that are coming soon.
Yes. Stay tuned. They're so cute.
We don't promote multitasking, but it's part of our survival. Yeah. It's like a coping mechanism.
That's just life of a social entrepreneur. How many women are in your program? How many women are you employing currently right now?
We have 3 women that we employ part-time right now, and it's been really fun to see them grow in each of their we started them on kind of smaller number of hours you mentioned earlier. Just the labor costs are high to pay people in the United States, and we pay, of course, above minimum wage, a fair wage in Fort Worth. And so we have been able to expand their hours kind of slowly over the last few seasons, and it's been really fun to see them grow and just find so much ownership in what they do and the products that they create, and they're really passionate about the quality of their products, and they get so excited when they see people wearing them.
Yes, I think that's important too, and Hannah, I feel like it's a lesson that we learned from you really early on when you were giving us a lot of advice and wisdom on what does social entrepreneurship look like when the mission and the business is the people that you're serving.
Yes.
And for us, as all businesses do, you hope to grow, you hope to scale. And something that we've done per your advice early on and some other people that we spoke with is when we felt tempted to kind of go out, and especially during busy seasons, holiday seasons, we're like, we need 20 more people. Mm-hmm. We need so much more manpower and help. Instead, we intentionally chose to give the women that were already employed with us additional hours, just to increase their longevity with us, their personal sustainability. And so I think that's been exciting for us to consider the people that we employ and that we're serving over maybe what it would look or feel like. And when you ask that question, if we could say 30, because I think that feels good to me, that feels good to people that are listening. I think there are some people who just heard 3 and thought, wait, 3?
Only 3? Wait.
And that's actually a really intentional decision on our part. And of course, as we expand into our new space, which I'm sure we'll talk about, that number will increase. But that's something that I think I would have been nervous to say. And right now I'm actually really proud that we only have 3 employees and that we continue to invest in them.
That just gave me goosebumps. Yes, because the women deserve to have more time invested into them. So going deeper with the women versus, because it's sexier to say 100 more women. And of course, donors are like, oh my gosh, you're doing so much. But it's like, what is the impact really on those women's lives? Is it a frantic workplace? Like, is it just like 2 hours here, 3 hours here? So I love how you go deep with the women and not afraid. Like, this is the reality of the women in our workspace. So yeah, I want to pivot to the future of the Worthy Co. So y'all are doing such great work. There's so much new happening. So can you just share with our listeners, like, what does the next almost year look like for y'all?
Yeah, there's a lot happening. Yeah. I'm like, we're just riding the coattails of it all. So I think the biggest thing is that we bought a building a year ago, actually last January. And so we have been in the really fun process of getting permits and renovation and construction. And so that is what we have been doing.
So your project manager is on top of being executive director and co-founders.
Yes. Now we're general contractors. No, I'm just kidding.
We have one of those.
Yes, we do. Yes, we really did. We hired a real one. But yeah, I think that is the thing that we are most looking forward to and most excited about. Currently, we have operated in a 200 square foot church classroom. And so to say that everyone is on top of one another and that product is stacked on top of each other is our current reality. But I think something that's super exciting is when we move into our new workspace and our building is that we will be able to just produce more and better product because we'll actually be able to buy and store the things that we need to make better product. And so that's super exciting. And there's a retail component to the space as well. And so people will be able to come and shop and see, feel, touch all the things and smell the candles, of course, and then at the same time see some of the women that we're training and with the purpose of employing them. One of the reasons we have a retail component is because we didn't just want to have a retail store, but we wanted to train women in retail. And so that's one of the reasons we have that. And then we also have a candle making studio. And so that's just kind of a fun little added piece to it. And
what is a candle making studio?
So candle making studio is, I said that with like a southern candle making studio. Glad you asked, Hannah. Sorry. A candle making studio is essentially just a candle making class. And so it'll be a class where every person who comes gets to make their own candle and sort of curate their own vessel and fragrance, and that can be for a birthday party or a girls' night out or a date night. And so we'll be offering those classes for people to come. And I think what's unique about that is that every person who comes to that class, the story behind them paying to be there is as you're here and having this kind of experiential fun night or afternoon, you're at the same time employing and empowering women right here in your city. And so every class, of course, 100% of the profit goes back into employing more women. So that's something that we're doing in our new space.
What are you excited for the future for the Worthy Co?
Melissa touched on it, but the thing I'm the most excited about is just being able to expand the type of employment opportunities that we can offer women. Right now, as we're like she said, working in a 200 square foot classroom, really what the women are able to be trained in and to get employment through is hand making the products. And that's a really important piece to us because it's very empowering. It's therapeutic to work with your hands. It's a great starting place for the women that we're wanting to employ. But we really, another main goal that we have is to create transferable work skills. And if I teach you how to make candles and jewelry, you can do that in a very small amount of places. So it's not necessarily transferable, even though it is empowering and it is providing a living wage for them. But we're wanting to expand upon that and create a little bit more upward mobility for the women by giving them opportunities to get experience in retail retail management, customer service. We're going to be doing a lot of shipping and fulfillment, and so they can learn about how that works and they can get experience there. I even want to see women in our sales, and maybe they're running our wholesale accounts and they're visiting boutiques and sharing about our products and things like that. I want them to be able to have experience in positions that they can then go to a number of other places and be transferred and apply to, or move on to any number of places and have that gainful employment. not just in that sort of artisan-based model. So that's what I'm really excited about, and our new space will allow us to do.
Yeah, I think that's
incredible.
something new that we learned along the way is I think every social entrepreneur would say that your business model just kind of changes as you go, because you see pain points and you're like, oh, that's actually not beneficial to a healthy business or to my employees. And so for us, the artisan base was kind of how we started, not knowing where exactly we were going to go next. And I think we just started thinking about it, and I have some friends who are artists, and I'm like, to be an artisan for a person who hasn't experienced a lifetime of trauma and hasn't had to overcome all those obstacles, it's actually really hard for everyone. Even if you have a great support system and a great product, it's a hard lifestyle. And so something that we have decided along the way with interacting with the women was that knowledge-based career training we realized is so important for them, because we truly want to set them up not just for success when they're within our reach and they're in our fold, but we want to set them up for success no matter where they land. They have a really good set of skills that can provide them not just, again, a minimum wage job, but that upward mobility piece. And so we're excited about that, but it's also new because it's another pivot that we're taking right now, and something that we're really committed to.
Yes, I feel like flexibility is so key, and being able to, take those challenges and be like, okay, we need to address this, and like, let's pivot our business model. So I just admire how flexible y'all have been in being able, I just think, again, the upper mobility piece is so important. Like, I think as social entrepreneurs, we need to realize that, yes, we're addressing their current needs and kind of like that crisis, like, let's get you a job, let's get you employed, like, let's address this immediate need, but how do we prepare our employees for the future? It's kind of an opposite business model. Like, you kind of, traditional for-profit business are trying to keep their employees. Y'all are trying to like, here, go fly, go do something, go get a higher paid job. Like, we want you to leave if that's your intent. Like, of course, I know y'all want to keep the women who want to stay, and that is something that the women just want to do. But being understanding that some women don't want to work retail, but giving them the option to be able to do that upper mobility is so key, and that's why I love y'all so much. We are running out of time, but I just want to kind of, towards the end, I want y'all to share just like a favorite story y'all have. I know can't pick one, but like, do you have a favorite moment, story, just the past couple years that y'all been doing this? It can be from your time at the Net or the Worthy Co., just anything y'all want to share with our listeners.
Yeah, I think something that I have told some people recently is that one of our employees was just able to buy her daughter braces, which sounds like sort of like normal, like, yeah, that's what moms do. But I remember her telling me how proud she was. And when she was telling me about it, she, had tears in her eyes. And she said that she thought that was something that only, rich people did, or only normal people did. And for her, having experienced being in and out of the criminal justice system and on and off the streets and in and out of sexual exploitation, it was something that she was able to provide that she felt like, quote unquote, normal people were able to do. And as a mom, she wanted to have the opportunity to do that too. And so I just think that's such a neat thing, that through employing women, we of course are accomplishing our mission of employing, empowering them, but they're accomplishing their goals and their mission, and they want to be empowered to be a good mom, just like I do, like we all, any mom does. And so I think it's so neat that this, not to degrade it, but like a silly candle and jewelry company is getting to provide her with that dignity of doing something to help her reach her goals as a parent.
Yeah, I think just on that same note, my favorite moment happens every pay period when I get to run payroll and put real dollars into these real women's bank accounts. And it's not a gift, and it's not charity, it's not a giveaway. It is money that they've earned through hard work and through them coming and showing up every day on time and working really hard and doing a great job. And it means that they get to do things with it that they want to do with it, like pay for their daughter's braces, or get a few things for their apartment, or put even just food on the table. And that is just, I'm struck by it every time that I push those buttons, because I know what it means for the women, in their real actual lives, because we have, because I'm with them every day. But yeah, that's my favorite moments that I get to be a part of, for sure, through the Worthy Co.
Incredible. So tell our audience where we can find y'all. How can we support you? Is there volunteer opportunities? How can we go buy product? Share with us just your call to action. Like, how can we support you guys?
Yes, we need all the help.
www. No, we're online. We have an online store. It's at worthy-co.com. And all of our products are available there. But the best way to kind of keep up with us, I think, is following us on Instagram and Facebook. Because we are posting all the time, just behind the scenes and new products. And you're kind of the first to know when we have new things rolling out. We're growing really fast and things are moving quickly. And so that's the best way to kind of stay up to date with things going on. So it's at theworthy.co. So that's on Instagram.
And I think, too, if people are local to DFW, that when we do open sometime in 2020, our store, our physical space, for people to come and to shop and to check it out or sign up for a candle making class at our studio, just things like that, knowing that it's the community support that allows us to employ these women and to affect their lives in that way. And so I think just making something fun out of it, and for people who are local, they physically get to participate in that. And then for people who are local too, like you said, volunteer opportunities. If people want to be a part of what we're doing, we do lots of different aspects on the program side, everything from jail to having pool parties, and we have events, and we have a survivor support group every week. And so we're always looking for people to partner with us in that. And if they wanted to, a great first step is that we have 2 trafficking trainings every year. We have a biannual trafficking training that people can sign up for on our website, and one happens in the spring and one happens in the fall, and that's an easy first step to learn more about us and to get involved.
Where will y'all's store be located in Fort Worth, just to give them a general idea?
Yeah, so for people who are familiar with Fort Worth, it's on the near south side, so outside of downtown, and it's actually on a street called Magnolia, which has, it's kind of a walkable street with some restaurants and retail, and so that's where we'll be.
And I also want to encourage y'all to sign up for the email list. They do give like exclusive sneak peeks and maybe sometimes some sales, especially around Black Friday season. So definitely sign up for their emails as well. But ladies, thank you so much. And I'm just so excited for the future of y'all. And thank you so much for serving Fort Worth and Dallas, because I really want to reiterate, because I am from Fort Worth and I live in Dallas now, that what happens in Fort Worth and Dallas all affects each other. Yeah, so we're all, let's stop the rivalry. We're all family. We all live in the same metroplex. But just thank y'all so much for the impact you're making on these women's lives, and just the education and awareness that y'all are bringing out, and just changing the conversation, trying to change your culture to look at these women differently. And thank you guys so much for listening to the Road to Innovation podcast, powered by the Kleinert Foundation. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Road to Innovation, powered by the Kleinert Foundation. If you'd like to learn more about today's social innovator, please visit kleinertfdn.org or the podcast website at theroadtoinnovation.com.